negotiations, so you guys don't make no headlines saying I'm ducking. If he won it, let's get it. I have a spirit of competition in me, and you're gonna see that come out when I fight Tank and whoop his ass.
Welcome back to Fighting Words. I'm your host, Carissa Maxwell, joined by our senior combat editor, Tom Gray, and senior combat writer, Andreas Hale. Now, Tom, I know you want more than nothing to talk about the Jake Paul-Tom Fury fight and, the fallout from that. But instead, we have to talk about another major fight that was just announced and a fight that we've been waiting for I've honestly lost count. It feels like it's been at least a year at this point. But Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, April 22nd, in Las Vegas. Now, even though there is no title on the line, is this the biggest fight of the year so far?
In my eyes, absolutely. I was looking forward to that fight more than I'm now looking forward to Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence, simply because it's two unbeaten young stars in the absolute prime of their careers. Unlike Spence and Crawford, they're both really big punchers in their weight class. I think pretty much everyone I speak to foresees a knockout ending. Exciting build-up, exciting young stars, very exciting fight. Cannot wait for it.
Listen, I'll take it a step further. Not only is it the biggest fight so far in 2023, it will be the biggest fight of 2023. And I don't care if Fury fights Usyk. I don't care if the only other fight is maybe Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. But aside from that, it captures social media, it captures the younger generation. It's almost a guaranteed knockout. Yes, this is the biggest fight of 2023, and it will be no matter what happens outside of Joshua Wilder.
And isn't that kind of strange, being that there is no title on the line? They're not fighting for any belts. This is just a highly anticipated fight.
It doesn't matter, Carissa. I mean, the bottom line is it's the fighter that makes the belt, not the other way around. I mean, in this instance, they're still fighting for world level bragging rights in the lightweight division. The winner, conceivably, I don't know what Andreas thinks, hits the pound for pound list. Tank is on some lists, but not all of them. There's just so much more to fight for than a championship here. I think that when you look back at the likes of Arturo Gatti against Mickey Ward, those fights set the boxing world on fire for a couple of years, and there was no titles in the line. As long as the fight is high quality, as long as the stars align, you don't need a championship belt to make this fight.
It's really unfortunate because in most sports, the champion is like the biggest draw in the sport, and championship fights and championship games are the most watched. But this speaks a lot to what's wrong with boxing, because if there's no title on the line and we're fighting at a catchweight, it ends up being the biggest fight of the year. What does that say about the rest of the sport? Who cares who has titles? I say this all the time. When Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, nobody cared what they fought for. Nobody even remembers what titles were on the line. So the fact of the matter is, boxing needs to do better in general about recognizing and promoting their champions, because here we are. Two guys who have a strong presence on social media, hold no titles, are competing, and the world will be watching.
Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention that there is kind of a dark cloud hanging over this fight. Tank Davis is in the middle of multiple criminal allegations. In fact, he has a trial date on March 31st, right before the fight, and he has a sentencing on May 5th, right after the fight, for domestic violence allegations and a hit and run. Do you think that he should even be in a position to take this fight, let alone be promoted? Especially, let's be honest, it's a violent sport.
It's a violent sport, but none of the allegations that you've pointed out there are going to sit well with myself or Andreas. And funnily enough, Floyd Mayweather had something very similar just prior to the Miguel Cotto fight. In fact, Floyd had a prison sentence after the Miguel Cotto fight. That fight was locked in when everyone knew what was going to happen. So we've been here before. Extremely unsavoury, and that's putting it mildly.
Listen, this is a sport that rewards bad behavior. The biggest stars end up being the most controversial and do things that, me or Tom wouldn't support, and neither would you, Carissa. But I need to point out, Rolly Romero was scheduled to fight Tank Davis, and there were sexual assault allegations, and he was pulled from that fight. The fact that he was pulled and Gervonta is in the middle of multiple criminal investigations and a trial for a hit and run, and he's still getting the opportunity to fight, speaks a lot of your star power versus the allegations. And I think it's an unfortunate circumstance. But here we are. They're just allegations. And, it's up to the promoter and the network to make a decision. And neither of them are going to lose out on their cash cow for this. They're just going to wait. The only thing that's going to prevent it is if Gervonta goes to jail and can't fight. Other than that, he's going to fight Ryan Garcia.
And if that does happen, if he does go to jail, who's next for Ryan Garcia? Who takes this fight?
I've not even given it a second's thought, Carissa. I mean, like, the way I'm looking at it as this fight is on, maybe I'm looking, and this isn't good to say, but I'm not looking past the allegations that are hanging over him. I'm just assuming that they've got it kind of in their heads that he's going to get through this and be able to fight on that date. So I've not given a thought about Ryan Garcia, his next step to this point. I mean, there's plenty of top lightweights. You've got Lomachenko, you've got Devin Haney, you've got Shakur Stevenson. The list goes on. George Kambosos even is still floating around. But I expect the Ryan Garcia fight to go ahead, despite the unsavoury stuff that's hanging over the top of it.
Yeah, savory, unsavory. Unless the cops handcuffed Gervonta Davis a week before the fight, this fight is happening. And even if he was found guilty, they wouldn't sentence him until after the fight. So nothing's going to change here. It is what it is. And again, we have a sport that is violent and rewards bad behavior. The biggest stars end up doing the most nonsense.
So, of course, assuming that this fight does happen as scheduled on April 22nd, who do you got winning? What is your fight prediction? How long are we going? Will there be a knockout? What's going to happen?
Well, from my take at the minute, some days I think Garcia, some days I think Tank, and today I like Inoue over Fulton. I reckon that it will be... I'm going to go Ryan Garcia at the minute because he's got extremely good corner strength in terms of Joe Goosen, who I believe he's still working with at the minute. They know that Tank has got a very limited punch output in the early going, and even into the middle round. You can sometimes be scoring rounds against Tank before he comes in with the haymaker and finishes the fight. Tank has got a very underrated boxing IQ, though, and he is gathering information constantly through that period. I just think when you fight in that style, when you're holding your guns for that long, it can eventually go against you. And I think Ryan Garcia has got the speed, the skill, the technique, the power to keep Tank honest, build up a massive lead, and Tank will find it very difficult to overcome that and could conceivably run away with a unanimous decision. But I could change my mind tomorrow.
Woo, Tom, I think there's no way this fight goes the distance. I think these are two fighters who are hell-bent on getting a knockout. But here's the thing. Ryan Garcia got put down by Luke Campbell. Gervonta Davis is a lot harder than Luke Campbell. Granted, there's a 5-inch height difference, there's a big reach difference, but Gervonta finds ways to get inside on his opponents and land those big shots. And if you got a 12-round fight, Ryan always keeps his chin pretty high and up in the air. I think, it'll be like Little Mac and Mike Tyson's punch out where Gervonta's got to jump and land that big punch. But right now, I'm saying Gervonta Davis by knockout. I'm going to say about the 7th round. But actually, there's no way in hell this fight's going the distance.
Well, we'll see. But the only thing I was going to say was that against Luke Campbell, I don't think you had a fully switched on Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia knows as well as us, if he leaves his chin in the air, he's going to get knocked clean out. So I'm expecting him to be more cautious.
Yeah, you can be as cautious as you want to be. But that Tank punch come, and you haven't felt anything like that before. And Ryan went down like a sack of potatoes. You get hit with that shot against Tank, you're going to sleep. It's 12 rounds. It's like fighting Deontay Wilder. All it takes is one. And I think that's all Tank needs is one. He may be losing the fight, but he's going to finish Ryan Garcia.
I'm just happy you guys finally disagree on something, because for a while there, we didn't have many fighting words against anything that this fight had to do with. It was just more so towards boxing. So thank you for having some debate there. But April 22nd in Las Vegas, Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. It is finally happening. We'll be covering it on Sporting News. And until next week, I'm Carissa Maxwell for Tom Gray and Andreas Hale. This is Fighting Words.